Supernatural Season 10, Episode 14, The Executioner's Song. I was incredibly excited for this episode, and personally, I don't think it really disappointed. I think it was a great episode where it finally, we're getting back to the main story. It showed every single character. We got to see Cass, and it wasn't so much his storyline, but he was definitely involved because it had to do with them finally finding Cain, and Dean, at least trying to see if there was a true answer as to, what he could do about the mark, if he could give it back, if he could, kill Cain, and that would basically wipe the mark from the planet. Whatever solution there was, they were going to find it in this episode. And it was a great episode. The beginning was really cool. I mentioned this before. I love the actor for Cain. Like, they chose, the perfect actor to play his character. I think the character himself is well written. So, he's just, a badass character and stuff. And in this one, compared to the last one, he didn't really do much in the last time we saw him. He was kind of, in solitude. He was in hermit mode, really. And until, the very end of the episode, he didn't even, kill. He'd stopped killing. So he wasn't killing any demons or anything like that until the very end of the episode. And really, we only saw him do, I think he touched, two people's heads, and then the rest of it was just outside the house. But in this one, he was, killing demons. He was killing humans. And, we only got to see him kill, one human. But we got the backstory, and we saw the giant graveyard and stuff where he goes after his entire lineage and stuff. And I thought that was actually a cool storyline where he was kind of driven. He felt he was driven, and it was his task and duty to wipe his bloodline from the planet, because even though he killed, he was kind of the first to kill, and it was technically for a noble reason. After that, his bloodline was tainted so much that other people, or at least most people, as he put it, would end up, being other thieves or killers or just bad people in general. So, because it was kind of a majority rules type of thing, it's I'm going to find every single person that comes from my blood lineage, and I'm going to kill them off. And I thought that was a really interesting concept. And he mentioned at one point in this episode, when he was talking to Cass, he was eventually I'll come for Dean. But, that was, I think he was the one case where it was that, they're not a part of his lineage, but it's a much different connection, which we really got an explanation for towards the end, aside from just, obviously, Cain gave Dean the mark. So, there was a little bit more, and I love the ending. The ending was great, the fight was really cool, and we get, a really interesting story with Cain saying, I'm saving you really from yourself. I'm saving you from experiencing my story in reverse, which I thought was really sweet, because I never even remotely thought of that. And it's my story started with me killing my brother, but yours would end that way, and you would basically go up the chain. You would kill Crowley, and it would kind of mess with you a little, and you'd move past that, but then you'd kill Cass, and then that would definitely, cause you a lot of pain. And then you would even, go beyond that and kill your brother, and that's what would drive you to insanity. And it was just nice. I thought it was really cool that we got to see that. And it sucked that they killed off Cain. It would have been awesome if he lived, and, he was just in the series a little bit more, in some episodes here and there or whatever. But unfortunately, he was just, the villain in this episode, and Dean had to do what he had to do. And he took him out by the end of the episode, and it's now Dean really has no answer. There was really no answer outside of the Metatron stuff, which seems that's going to be coming back the next time we get an episode, which is until March, I think it's at 17th, which is really far away. But, that it seems that's the path the storyline is going to go down from now on. But it was definitely cool to see Cain. The fight was awesome. Fortunately, Dean didn't go nuts at the end of the episode. He at least had enough control to hand back the blade, or hand it over to Cass, because obviously he got it from Crowley in the first place. But that was cool. And, the stuff with Crowley in this episode was very interesting. He knew, we kind of got the answer that he wasn't being manipulated. He knew that some stuff was going on. He at least knew in this episode. It seemed he may have known some of the crazy stuff in the past episodes, but in this one for sure he knew 100%, she's just scamming me. But it's Crowley, so honestly he's probably just whatever, kill this guy, what do I care. He was playing a game on something that looked like it was from 1990 something, And, you know, it's like, what do I care? Just, like, kill this guy off. It doesn't mean anything to me anyway. So, you know, he knew he was being manipulated. And we get a little hint towards the coven stuff as well, with Rowena saying, like, there's another witch. Like, the witch that kind of led the, you know, other witches in the coven against Rowena. So, she's in the States now. Rowena wants her dead. And she's kind of trying to get a favor out of Crowley. And he's like, you know, it's obvious that you're just trying to scam me. And he takes off, and by the end, she is leaving because she's like, you know, you aren't really a good leader. Like, you have the crown, but you don't really have the responsibility of it. And you just run off to the Winchesters when they call you, who would, you know, just as much ask for your help as, you know, stab you in the back and, you know, take you out for good. So, you know, her decision to leave was very interesting. I don't know if it's kind of like, you know, as Crowley mentioned, like the long con, and she knew, like, this is the only way to play it because sticking around and trying to be nice to him isn't working, so I have to revert back to maybe being the crappy mother, you know, style that I was in the past. And, you know, it could either be a con or, yeah, she could be 100% serious, but either way, you know, she is really gone. Like, she's leaving and she's going to be doing her own thing. I'm sure she took, like, a couple of resources here and there, and you know, she'll be using some stuff to her advantage to try to take out whoever this, like, Grand Witch is. But for now, she's taken off. Crowley's kind of by himself, back as just the King of Hell alone, and he doesn't have to really deal with his mother leaning in and saying random stuff about someone asking for, you know, their credit or their due or whatever. So I don't really know how that's going to play out, but I'm excited that, you know, I'm always excited every time we get an episode this season because, you know, and I mention this every week, but we got a lot of the filler episodes this season, and every time we get a main episode, it's always good. It's always great to see that next real big step as far as, you know, what's happening with the Mark of Cain, what's happening with the Angels, if we get that. I feel like for this season, we kind of got the Angel stuff in a couple of episodes, but for the most part, it kind of ended pretty early, and then it was just like, you know, now it's just kind of done, and that's really it. Like, they had some awesome stuff, and then it was like, all right, that it's almost as if that entire storyline kind of ended, really, because, you know, Cass kind of went through some of the real serious stuff that they could do for that storyline, and now he's, like, really by himself. He doesn't have the partner he had. I can't think of her name anymore, but, you know, like, he's not hanging out with her or anything like that. They have the other angels that are kind of going off and getting whichever angels decided to stay on Earth and stuff like that. So his storyline, as far as, you know, having his own, like, third storyline, it's kind of blended in with Sam and Dean, which is fine because, you know, they're a team anyway. That's kind of what happens at, you know, every season. But, you know, we still got the Crowley stuff. We still have the Marky Cain stuff, and Metatron will be coming back. And, you know, they're going to be making some sort of deals, and he's going to be telling them, you know, whatever these lessons are to officially get rid of the Mark of Cain that he knows that, you know, Cain himself didn't even know. Which makes sense because technically Cain was human. Even if he became a powerful demon, you know, that's still a giant disconnect from being an angel, obviously. So there's still a ton of stuff even Cain himself wouldn't have known that Metatron probably does, you know, have stored in his head. So I'm actually really excited for the next episode. I really love this one. I was incredibly excited for it. You know, obviously loved Cain in this episode. He was great in the last one. He was great in this one. Sucked to see him go, but, you know, that's just how the story had to be. Like, he was going on the massacre. I didn't expect him to be, like, an actual villain. When they found him, I honestly just thought, oh, Cain's in hiding. Like, he doesn't have to help anybody. He's just kind of off. Like, he left and he's hiding again. But, you know, when they found him, I was really surprised to see that he had an active role in society. Like, he's killing off a ton of people and, you know, demons as well. So it was actually surprising to see that he was a straight up villain in this episode. It wasn't just like, oh, they're fighting because Cain doesn't really want to help Dean or anything like that. It's because they actually had to take Cain out because he became a straight up villain. Like, he was killing off people, you know, left and right. And, you know, killing off the guy on death row, that's one thing. But he was going to kill, like, a 12-year-old kid because it's like, it's my bloodline. He might grow up to be a bad guy. I don't know, but I'm going to, you know, take him out just in case. So, you know, it was kind of interesting to see that sort of twist because that was the last thing I expected, was for him to have an active role and that role to be so villainous, and he's just, like, killing people off. Admittedly, it was kind of badass because it's Cain and he's, like, super powerful. He was, like, you know, tossing Cass around, you know, just disappearing and stuff like that. So he had a lot of cool powers and stuff, but Sucks to see him go. Great episode. But of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this one. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and what could possibly be the answer to helping Dean. Like, at the very end of this episode, things seem like they were looking up, and then Cass talks to Sam. He's like, how's Dean? And Sam is like completely distraught. Like, I shouldn't say completely distraught. He was kind of saving face, I guess. But he knew like something. He felt like something's way worse than it was before. Something is wrong, and that's where it ends. So it's like, what is going to be the path that Dean ends up taking? I highly doubt they'll end up having the brothers go against each other. That would be really crazy and cool. But I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen. There are a couple of things that could happen this season. With it being paced the way it has been, they actually have a lot open, I think, for season 11, really. Like, the Grand Coven stuff, really, that's only been introduced, to be completely honest. I mean, we have the stuff with Rowena mentioning this witch, and we kind of had that with the Hansel and Gretel stuff last time. Or, I guess that was 2 episodes ago, but we haven't seen too much out of that. It's still kind of in its introductory stage. We still have, the Mark of Cain has really been like the long-running thing, which started in the last season. So, that's been going on for a while, but the Coven stuff is brand new. We still have to figure out how is Dean going to get rid of the Mark, or if he can at all, because if he can't, then he'll have to live with it. But I think, he's going to end up getting rid of it because they're going to get help from Metatron. But it's like, what path it's really open to him. What can he do, and what is going to happen in this season? Because, like I said, we still have the Coven stuff, which hasn't really been explored, too much at all. Like, Rowena is really the only contact to that Coven that we even have, and all she's been doing is manipulating her son. So there's, like, this whole big storyline that really is just, like, on the outside of, like, the supernatural bubble. It's there, but it's like, it'll come in later, but right now it's pretty much all Mark and Cain. So I want to know what you guys think is going to happen, not just with Dean and the Mark, but what's going to happen with this season. Who are going to be, the main villains? When is the Coven going to become a huge threat to not only Rowena, but, Sam and Dean? Because based on this show, and pretty much any magical show, witches are always just bad guys. Like, that's just how it goes. It's like, unless the main set of characters involves a witch, witches are just bad. It's like, I always find that kind of funny. Like, there's never, unless it's like Sabrina, all witches are just like villains. It's like, why aren't they just good witches and warlocks all over the place? But I want to know what you guys think, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.